Mike, we have a question from a student who has a client that is dealing with alcoholism, and the client obviously is paying money in this case in advance, paying for the sessions up front, and then either showing up ridiculously late consistently or not showing up at all or canceling. And so our student was curious, how do you handle a situation like that? Obviously, it's nice to get paid up front, that's great, but there's a threshold problem here, maybe an ego state problem that needs to be dealt with.
I think you're right about both of those. In fact, what I'm hearing here is when I was a therapist from 93 to 2000, I ran into it with, I didn't do a lot of smoking cessation, but this was a fairly common thing where the person who makes the appointment, I got to quit smoking, there's cancer in my family, they're desperate. I set up the appointment, the person who comes in is the same person physically, but it's a different ego state. So you really want to quit, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I do. What? This is a variation on that in my mind. Chris has mentioned threshold. If you're not at threshold, something has to change, has to be now, has to be me. That's already going to undo it. But if you have a different ego state that is canceling the appointment or simply not showing up, there's an internal dissonance here that must be dealt with, because it's no good to make an appointment and not go.
Like you're thinking, for example, let's say the person drinks heavily at, I don't know, at nighttime or something like that, wakes up in the morning, feels horrible, feels like, oh, I've got to fix this problem, book an appointment, and then by the time the appointment comes around is now not in the right ego state, not in that I need to quit.
And it's in one powerful enough that it can supplant the one that made the appointment.
So what does our client, what does our student here, the hypnotist in question, do about this?
Well, first of all, remember, we always say ecology first, which means anytime you're dealing with alcoholism, I would never deal with something like that without their doctor's permission. Because if someone goes cold turkey off alcohol and they're drinking a bottle of whiskey a day or 40 ounces of scotch,
it can kill them.
Yeah, it can kill them. You can have seizures and die. So you must keep that in mind. You can't just stop that. So
there's the disclaimer.
There's the disclaimer. Now, having said that, I think it's crucial to have a sit-down conversation with the person and explain in detail exactly what's happening, and then say, are you willing to proceed on this, knowing that there's a part of you that is subverting the process. If the person understands fully what's happening, then you're going to bring them at least to a decision point. Yes, I will be there next time for sure, and I really want to fix this. And the person must be able to congruently convince you of that. If not, you cancel the appointment, you give them a refund. Now, the other thing is, if they are absolutely congruent about it, yes, I understand what I'm doing, and they show up, then proceed with it. But again, you're bringing them to a threshold of making a decision, and your job is to ensure they stay with that decision. So if they don't show up, that's it. Cut the cord. Don't let their problems become your problems. You'll go crazy over this. But if they show up and are willing to work with it, you now have at least some understanding, and you can access the different ego states and make the real change for them.
I was thinking about our friend Scott Sandlin, one of the founders of Hypnothoughts Live, the conference that we go to every year, which is awesome, by the way. He did a lot of drug addict treatment in rehab centers and stuff. And I remember he would put on a persona, well, not really a persona. I mean, he would tell the truth. He would say, look, whether or not you deal with the problem, I'm still going home to my family at the end of the day. I'm still going to have food on the table. I'm still going to wake up tomorrow and feel great about my life. So it's totally up to you to make the change here. And I think some version of that needs to be said here. Like, how much money do you want to pay me before you actually face this problem and deal with it? I'm happy to take your money. I'm still going to go home at the end of the day, and I'm still going to have a great life. But until you face this and actually deal with it, you're still going to be an alcoholic who overdrinks. So when do you want to decide that you've given me enough money and canceled enough appointments that you're ready to deal with this? Something like that might get a little sense knocked into the person, and it's possible that they'll never get there.
It is possible. That's what I was about to say, and it is possible they will not get there at all. So you have to be aware, and you're going to have to stick with your decision unless they can congruently convince you that they are ready and willing and now are going to change with your help. Don't waste your time, because you're wasting theirs too.
All right, if you want to learn more about hypnosis, go to MikeMandelHypnosis.com. You can check out the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy.